City employees on the front line of medical emergencies are being vaccinated against the virus that causes COVID-19. Police officers, paramedics, and others who provide life-saving first aid are considered high risk for exposure to the novel coronavirus. Edina TV tells us more about the first phase of the vaccine rollout in Edina.
This was the moment the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine arrived at the Bloomington Public Health Center at the end of December.
It's probably one of the more exciting times to get the vaccine, just because we've been in this pandemic for several months and so many people have been dying from COVID, and this might give us a chance to get people vaccinated to prevent that from happening further.
But making that happen is no easy task.
I have you in the system.
Getting the vaccine into arms first took months of research, then the work of finding necessary supplies like protective equipment and syringes. And people had to be trained to give a vaccine that must be kept very cold until it's ready to use.
Great, so I got 10.
When we can have it at room temperature when we're using it, it can only be for a certain number of hours. And then once we puncture a vial to do immunizations, we have a 6-hour window to use the vaccine that was in that vial.
The first phase of the vaccination rollout for first responders in Edina began on January 5th at Fire Station 1.
Your arm's probably going to be sore tomorrow.
The city is following guidance from the Minnesota Department of Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention by prioritizing the men and women who care for the sick.
One of the challenges we've struggled with this entire pandemic is making sure our healthcare capacity is sufficient. And in this case, the staff doing that first part of healthcare in the field with EMS is critical so that they are there to always be able to respond to 911 in case we get that big surge of cases, and they need to be able to be there to take care of the residents of Edina.
Phase 3 trials found the vaccine was more than 94% effective.
We are ready to vaccinate you. So if you'll take a seat over here.
Edina police and paramedics will return 28 days later for a second shot.
You signed up for the wait list for today's clinic.
During the pandemic, the Edina paramedics and police officers have been responding to patients with known COVID, managing those patients and getting them into the healthcare system. So there's always kind of been a level of stress amongst the staff about, making sure that they keep themselves protected and healthy.
Residents of long-term care facilities are also part of the first group receiving the Moderna vaccine.
And we're hopeful that we're going to get through this phase 1A, as quickly as possible so we can move on to more of the general public.
Kelly says that's months away.
Be patient. You've done such a good job for many months protecting yourself, following public health guidance. We are close.
Work to protect the community from a deadly disease, one shot at a time.
Our vaccines are incredibly effective, incredibly safe, and it's really a privilege to be able to be doing this from a public health standpoint.
I'm Dan Carpenter for Edina TV.
The priority groups for the next phase of the vaccine rollout are being determined. Residents are reminded to continue practicing good hygiene habits, including washing hands, wearing masks, and staying 6 feet from others. Visit edinamn.gov/coronavirus for updates.